afternoon. This is Chair Brian Haggerty of the El Paso County Community College District Board of Trustees. I want to welcome you to our 4 o'clock meeting for our Facilities and Finance meeting for July of 2021. The teleconference audio can be accessed by dialing toll-free number 1-844-621-3956. You have to enter the access code 120-556-5075 to access the call, and when requested, enter the pound or hashtag. And through audio video feed found at youtube.com/goepcc. Any member of the public wishing to make a comment or question regarding an agenda item can email the comments or questions to the following email address: boardquestions@epcc.edu. All backup and related materials for the meeting can be accessed at the following link: epcc.edu/administration, Board of Trustees. I want to welcome you all. Pam, can you call the order?
Yes, sir. Just one moment. Mrs. Robles.
Present.
Mr. Uxer.
Present.
Ms. Pena is going to be absent today, Judge. Ms. Sanchez.
Here.
Dr. Graham and Ms. Nahara must be running late. Mr. Haggerty.
Here. Any public comment, Pam?
No, sir.
Okay. Any discussion items under 5.1? Can you read 5.1, Pam?
Item 5.1, Mr. Paulo Perez, Program Manager, ECM, will provide an update briefing on the progress of the Combined Fee Revenue Improvement Bond Series 2016 program. Briefing items will include, but are not limited to, a general update including schedule and budget for all 6 projects, as well as an overall bond schedule and budget update.
You're on, sir.
Yes. Okay. So good afternoon, board members, Dr. Serrata, Chair Haggerty. I'll start this session with the Rio Grande project. And this thing doesn't seem to be advancing. Help. It worked? Okay. Oh, there it is. Okay. It just seems real delayed. Okay, let's see. It seems like I don't think this is working. Or it's
Hold on. Let's see.
help. Hi. Yeah, well, yeah, I could always say next slide if that makes it easier.
I think the principal 6 P's of
6 feet.
5.
I know.
Sorry about that.
No, I deserved it. Yeah. But I can always say next slide if you want me to. Does it make it easier? Or maybe that mouse there. Let me see. Let me see if this mouse here would work. All right, you got it? All right, thank you. Thanks.
Carrie.
Right, my apologies. we'll go ahead and get started now. So this is the building, as you can tell, it looks pretty much like the rendering. The only things we're missing now are exterior light fixtures and the big EPCC logo on the top, in the center, and then the EPCC letters on the top. So it looks very nice. So this is from the southwest side. You can tell right here, that's the Queen Anne House, and that's the new lobby, and I'll show you some pictures of that area in just a second. And this is they're finishing up putting the panels, metal panels, on the stair tower that has those two elevators. This side is that area between the Queen House and the building. This is an outdoor patio for the students, and this is actually behind. If you walk towards me, this is where you are. That's the door to the patio out there. And then as individuals walk in, they could go down this way if they're in a wheelchair. There's the back of this elevator over there, so they can get in this way. Or you can go up the stairs and take that same elevator on this side, or the other elevator on the opposite side. So as you can tell, the retaining walls are already poured, and they're ready to take the forms, I think, by now. Place them this morning. Yeah, so what do you think when they'll remove the forms? Tomorrow? Yeah. So they're ready to remove the forms. This is the 6th floor. It's the east corridor. And on the right here is the main restroom on the 6th floor. This is the 7th floor. And on this side is the EMS suite here. And on this side is the EMT classroom. So this is the radiology on the 7th floor. As you can tell, we just finished installing the X-ray machine. This is the radiology classroom, and this is the view to downtown from there. The views are quite stunning. I don't know if any of you had the opportunity of visiting the building, but yes, some fantastic views. So after giving you a little background on why we're now moving the substantial completion from September 27th, when basically at the last meeting we told you August 5th, that's quite a move. So I feel we owe you an explanation, obviously. So up to 2 weeks from last Thursday, we were being told, and we were asking at every meeting with Arrow, if still August 5th was a good day, a good time, a good date. And they've always said yes. It was categorically yes. They'll provide the manpower necessary to achieve that substantial completion date. Subsequently, at the last meeting, we told them, well, we have a meeting with the board next week, and it's August 5th is basically around the corner. And so are you still standing by that August 5th date? And they said, well, no. So we asked them, well, what's your new date now? And basically, they wouldn't tell us. They're being very passive-aggressive in terms of providing us information. So they basically just said, well, we have to meet with ourselves. We're really not sure. Their manpower on site has actually been dropping in the last week. So basically what we felt, in order at least because we feel we owe you something, we need to give you a date. Actually, David went through a quite elaborate, very elaborate analysis of where we were, where we're going, what the benchmark dates need to be accomplished in order to finish the building for substantial completion. We still have to move the furniture in. We still need to get a permit from the fire marshal. To add insult to injury, David told me this morning, we have the booster pump that actually pulls the water pressure, increases the water pressure for the fire line, broke. A brand new booster pump. And if the booster pump is not working, the fire marshal is not going to give us permission. So long story short, after that work that David did, he pretty much determined, well, it's going to have to be at best end of September.
So I have a question.
Yes, yes.
So you mentioned that I guess you asked them, are we speaking of Arrow? Is
Yes,
that who's,
ma'am.
oh, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So what prompted you, I guess, I'm just curious to ask, hey, where we are with that? I mean, were you still under the impression as of last week that we would be done by August the 5th? Because it seems.
That's a good question.
Right.
Yeah, because deep down, no. You know, but they were very insistent up to 2 weeks ago. You know, if they brought another crew and they work around the clock, certainly they could achieve that. However, it's going the other way. So at the last meeting, that's when we basically told them, hey, you're not that far from August 5th. We got a meeting with the board. Are you still basically in the back of our minds, we didn't think they could do it, but we needed some sort of confirmation from them. And they said no, but yet they will not provide us when they think they're going to get done.
Why would you have not have, I guess, held their feet to the fire or put something in writing or to really document that?
We did document. It's absolutely documented. Every single, and David is the one who writes the meeting minutes. Every single meeting we have every week, I categorize the last 3 meetings. I categorize been asking you, are you standing? Are you sitting here and telling me? And they say yes. Now, to be honest, after the last board meeting, we were calling August 5th, but they really would have to turn things around and bring more people in. Another issue that we have with them right now, and I know I'm throwing them under the bus, but they deserve it. Another issue we've had with them is the IT portion that they have to do. In other words, the contractor, there's some IT work they have to do before our IT group gets in and does their work. They have not been able to give us a date of when they'll be done for our IT group to come in. And I know that's been extremely frustrating for our group, our EPCC group, because we can't even get a date from them.
But how can we not get a date from them? In other words, we've had this conversation, I feel like maybe about we've had it several times, because, you know, we were under the impression of the August 5th date and we understood the IT situation. So why can't we get a straight answer? Why can't we get a confirmation on that? Like, what are we doing to make sure that, or to push them to do it, in other words? I just feel like sometimes we're just kind of like, okay, well.
And that's a good point. Actually, we have, the interesting thing about this is, for instance, HB, via Verde. We ask them for dates, they give us a date, and they don't meet it. So on the other, we have on one side, one contract gives us days, they don't meet it. The other one, I guess, they don't give us the date. So we don't even know whether they're going to meet or not. So we always have to use our best estimate based on what we see currently. And that's the key word, is currently. Because things can change. You know, in the future, from that point forward, if they really brought in some extra work, they could. Now, one thing I understand, and I know this is going to sound like an excuse, but it is a fact, the new Amazon building is drawing a lot of people, a lot of these subs. He's draining them. And case in point, this Garcon, which is correct if I'm wrong, I don't think they've done anything the last 2 weeks. Now? Okay. But there for a while, they weren't making any progress at all. So the bottom line is, you're right in terms of, maybe it sounds like, but we actually are. And we're putting all that in writing. And it's just, that's really, there's certain limits of what we can and can't do.
Paul,
Yes, sir.
let me add a little bit to that question, because I know it's challenging and frustrating for you.
Because I'm getting calls from constituents, you know, we're seeing the building, they're going through the construction, and so
Yes.
I provide
absolutely.
the information as provided in the meetings, because you all are our experts, or the folks that are doing this are giving us this timeline, and it doesn't make us very credible when we keep pushing this back. And so, quite frankly, I'm not very sure about the September 27th date. And that causes me, and I'm sure a lot of the students and faculty and staff, some anxiety in terms of what does that mean? And so, and just to add another factor, we're going potentially through another COVID phase. What does that mean? I don't want to wait anymore. It's not an excuse.
Let me kind of open up a little bit to the types of conversations that we're having with them and the stuff that we're doing in preparation for litigation, perhaps.
And maybe that's not the conversation that we have in open session. I don't necessarily, I think for our points, don't want to have that conversation if we're talking about any legal or litigation issues. What I'm more interested in knowing, and for the public purposes, and if we can have this conversation, and Mr. Ortega, you say otherwise if you don't feel so, but I want to know, what are we doing to meet that September 27th date?
So let me again try it, and without getting in, if I get into a cross the line, you please let me know. The contractor is obligated by contract to finish on the date that was in the contract, plus whatever days are allowed by change orders, right? And all this is, a change order is a part of the contract, as you know. And so we, of course, have done all that. As part of their pay application process on a monthly basis, they ought to submit a revised schedule. And they are the owners of the schedule, it's not us. All we can do is, well, we can call BS for sure when we see that something is not achievable, and then we can have that discussion, but they provide the same schedule, all right? And we force them through a lot of discussions, and your staff has been in a lot of these discussions. Mr. Lobato, Ruben, and some of them, because they're part of the OAC meeting, which happens every week. And so every week, we have a standing item called schedule. And we discuss the schedule, and we request the contractor to provide a 2-week look ahead on a real trade type level. Are you going to be doing installation of this and of that? And then when are you going to be finishing? And then we go back and say, out of your previous 2-week look ahead, what did you accomplish and what didn't? And why didn't you do this? And so, of course, all this is documented, right? To some level of, degree, because you can always go too far, but we document that they're not fulfilling the obligation. And since there's no change orders to speak of, it is on them. They have to justify the delay per contract to be able to negotiate additional days, right? It is not up to us to show that they're late. It is up to them to show us that they were delayed by something other than their own forces and their subs. So it's all on them, and everybody understands that. So the only recourse that we could have is when they give us a bad schedule, which they have repeatedly, is to say, okay, I'm not going to pay you. And we've had those discussions with your staff. Okay? Or recourse is not to pay them for what they've already performed. And that's something that's a very difficult thing to do, and that's something that certainly the project manager cannot decide on its own, not to pay something that has been performed. So it is part of that challenge. So one of the things that, again, we obviously understood that unless they work 24/7 and on weekends, they wouldn't be able to finish, but we're telling them so, and we're waiting for that to happen. Hasn't happened. They give us reasons sometimes. They mean nothing to the contract because they're their own internal problems. Sometimes we've kind of perhaps spoken too much to you to share with you those reasons, and maybe it's misconstrued that we're justifying them, but we're not. It's just that that's what they're saying. That's just their explanation, but we're not buying, we're not fudging, we're not giving them days for it. So the recourses are not pay them on a monthly pay application and see how they react. In my experience, when you do that, 1 or 2 months, well, they just stop working. And then, of course, you go into a worse impasse, right?
So what does that date mean then, September 27th? Because I don't think August 5th meant anything because
Well,
we came and went. So
yeah.
Tell me what September 27th means as of today, based on the information that you have, that where will we be on that date?
Yeah, so I think that David can explain that analysis that he's done to the contract. I mean, the schedule that they've given us. We really looked at the forces that they're providing now, and we're extrapolating, and we're looking at the activities that are still to come, right? And
Okay.
Go ahead.
With it. Test. Okay. David Rawlings, RG Construction Manager. Yes, ma'am. So I won't get too far into the weeds of all the issues we're tracking, but just let's break it down. So we could see, okay, you finally admit that you're not going to make August 5th. What are the things? So we got down, had a very detailed discussion with their superintendent, one of their project managers, and they had a detailed discussion with the city. So my focus became, okay, what are the short-term realistic goals we can get that help us, that help the college get in there and get going, help the dean so she can start instruction or have some relief on that. One of them is to get a temporary CO, and the half step is to get temporary CO and permission moving furniture. So we got a list together of, okay, what are the tasks you need? What's the city? What do you have to satisfy with the city? And we're tracking, for example, getting the fire alarm finished, getting the fire sprinkler system up and running, get the fire marshal's inspection in there. I think that's trending for my projections and for what the contractor says and what I believe. You know, what I believe from my experience. I'm thinking that looks like August 13th. We could probably get furniture in there. That would help because the furniture people, they have the furniture sitting in their warehouse. They were desperate to get it out, but they made a commitment to us. They're going to hang on and be a good partner with us. Then that would help them because they need 3 weeks to deploy, so we could be doing that. Then we could work on the temporary CO for occupancy. Occupancy gives you at least the right to occupy. We could do more. I could get in the furniture. I could even start using it for some purposes while we're doing some minor punch list stuff, not the heavy construction anymore because we're out of that. So we can work that out. So that I think could be achievable by August 27th. Then I think, so we're saying September 27th after that for substantial completion where the building is completely turned over. Everything is done, including finishes, that retaining wall, landscaping, and just complete. But I'm looking at half measures to get in there and help the project, and looking at very specific tasks and trying to task those and just poking the contractor every day. Like, where are you on that? How can I help you? How can I remove a roadblock for you? What can we do together? And then, are you encountering a problem like the fire pump went out and somebody has to come down literally from Chicago to fix it? Okay, that's unfortunate. It's a warranty work type of thing. That happened on the elevator as well. We're just trying to work through those things, but that's what we're doing to try to manage the situation.
Thank you.
A follow-up question for Ms. Sanchez, that along the same lines with Ms. Sanchez. The equipment that we have that is sitting around and our warranties that run out, will the contractor cover those?
Okay, so the warranty doesn't really start on those things until it's turned over to us, until you achieve substantial completion. So no, they'll have to honor that. There now, not to get too far in the weeds, Dr. Serrata, but there may be some things where it's like, well, you started running the AC system at this date, but that's not a couple of months. And we'll have a discussion with Mr. Lobato, that's not unusual, to say, okay, here's where that warranty started. But it's not going to be a huge shift of a year or something like that. You're going to get your community college will get their warranty. They're supposed to.
Mel, worst case, I think I visualize this, that we're pushing, it appears that pushing about as hard. We'd like more information. But the bottom line is that if we push too hard, they can decide to cut their losses and walk away, and we have what is left there. Isn't that right? I mean, there's a certain limit to how much effort. I mean, I'm not trying to justify or give y'all an out, but I'm looking. You know, one of the things is that at some point, that's their fallback position. They can say, can't do it. Let's just draw a line. Let the court settle who has to pay what, but we're through and we're out of here.
I mean, that's certainly a possibility. We don't anticipate that because we're trying to maintain a collaborative effort through everything we've done. But of course, there's litigation through construction all over the country, and some of those things happen.
Worst case is they could walk and we'd have to start all over again get somebody else to finish it up, right?
Yeah.
I would just respectfully ask that if we're going to get into legal contingencies, that respectfully we have that discussion in executive session. But it's a great question, Mr. Ugja.
Okay. Any other question?
I just want to point out that there is a limit. There are some limits.
I think we do need to take it in executive because I also have I want to know the accountability side, both not just on the company Aero that's not delivering, but also on the contractor management firm, because the accountability is on all of us. we're paying what we hired everybody to do and it's not getting done.
The board has the ability to do that, and that would be something that we could do under section 551.071 of the Texas Government Code. So if the board wishes to do that, I would just ask the board to make a motion so it could be discussed in executive session.
I make a motion to move it to executive session under 071, please.
Second.
Any discussion? Call the question, Pam.
Mrs. Robles,
Aye.
Mr. Uxer,
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez,
Aye.
Dr. Graham,
Hi?
Ms. Nájera,
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty.
Aye. Well, executive session, you have to read that.
Go ahead and go into exec.
Do we want to finish the rest of the agenda, Judge, or do you want to go into executive now? Those are a couple of the options that we have.
Well, you all wanted to go into executive session. We're
Okay.
discussing it now. We need to take
Okay.
care of the problem now.
Sure. We do that.
So my question is, do we go into this room behind us, or will we stay here and everybody leave? What do you suggest?
Where can you accommodate us, Pam? Should we stay here, or should we go into the back room?
If you go into the back room, it's not going to be very socially distanced. The best thing would probably be for everyone to leave this room.
I'm more comfortable personally staying here.
Okay.
Right now?
Okay,
But-
sounds good. Thank you.
And you have to read that we're going in executive session.
Okay. The Board of Trustees may conduct an executive or closed session pursuant to Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code for one or more of the following reasons: consultation with its attorney to seek or receive legal advice, or consultation regarding pending or contemplated litigation, or for any purpose authorized by law, discussion about the value or transfer of real property, discussion about a prospective gift or donation, consideration of specific personnel matters, discussion about security personnel or devices, or discussion of certain economic development matters. The board may also announce that it will go into executive session on any item listed on this agenda if the subject matter is permitted for a closed session by provisions of Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code. Any vote regarding these items shall be taken in open session. Time is 4:31.
I have a question. If we go into executive session, council, can the Dean of Rio Grande, Dr. Hajar, attend as an observer?
Not as an observer. If the dean has anything to offer that could be discussed in conjunction with the discussion that we're going to have in executive session, yes, but not for observational purposes.
Then who answers that question if she has something to offer? We have to ask her if she has something to contribute?
I could ask the question once we retire for executive session, and if
Okay.
there's an issue that can't be addressed by either me as legal counsel or ECM, we could certainly bring her in to see if she's got the ability to answer the question for the board.
Sure.
Okay. Okay, we're back into the regular meeting for Facilities and Finance. I apologize, but we had some questions that we needed to take care of in executive session. You all are back on, and we're going to go to the project at Valverde. So give us your spill on the rest of your little presentation, starting with Valverde. Valverde?
Oh, yes, sir.
Okay.
Paulo, can you go to the microphone?
Okay, can y'all hear me okay?
No, not
No?
yet.
Hello, 1, 2, 3? There it is.
Why are we having?
Okay, here we are. Now. Substantial complete. I was dying to show you all this slide. I mean, we're not done, but this is a good benchmark.
Can we put bodies in there for the fall?
Yes, sir.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
sir.
That's
Now,
just-
there
that's
is
a
little
start.
bit of- there is a little bit of a caveat. We won't, And I got that on the last slide. I'll go through all the stuff that we're saying we're substantial completion, but, you know, these things. And the big one is the network. The contractor's still working on the network. So very likely, because once they're done, EPCC still needs to come in, and they're not done yet. So once they might get it like middle of the semester, but it won't be up, the network won't be up for the fall. So they'll have classes.
So how can I have bodies in there if I don't have a network?
Wait, it's not, this is an all or nothing, dude.
Well,
I don't get it. How can we
You can take that off
have,
of the bottom. You can take that off of the bottom.
well, contractually, it's substantially complete, so,
If we can't work the network, then we'll argue about it.
okay. But basically, they're still being worked on by the contractor. We got the punch list, and the contractor is working on those. I believe the decision from the college was to have classes in the fall, correct?
If it's ready. I mean, it's a beautiful building.
Yeah.
And to be able to go into a beautiful building without connectivity
Yeah.
doesn't say much to our students.
Well, Mel Herrera, ECM. So substantially completed in the terms of the contract refers to the city giving us certificate of occupancy, correct?
Yeah, and everything in the building is, according to the true definition, substantial complete.
Correct. So basically what has happened is we've punched the building, and so what that means is every discipline has gone in and looked at every single aspect of the building, and a punch list has been created, which is things that need to be fixed but are operational. And that is, the last component is the IT punch list, which has been provided as of this week, I believe. And the contractor is now working on those punch list items to be able to have everything ready for El Paso, the community college IT to come in and finish their portion of it, the connectivity portion of it.
what day?
It's a work in progress. As I said, the punch list was provided this week, so the contractor is evaluating and potentially likely challenging some of those items on the punch list. And so that's part of what we do. We're gonna bring everyone to the table to have a discussion and come to agreements, and then go from there, get a schedule from the contractor.
How long will it take our IT? Once you get the building?
Mr. Haggerty, Mr. Marco Fernandez has the timeline, so I'll let him address the question.
I just want to know how many, is it going to take a week, 2 weeks,
No, it's
3
gonna take
months, 6 months?
several weeks, because right now they're testing cables and things that the contractor has already installed.
And when are we scheduled for fall?
Fall starts August 23rd.
But you guys got till the 11th.
We haven't given up hope. We're pushing hard, but obviously we have to, speak the truth and give you our assessment. And it is a discussion that we're continually having with IT and obviously with the contractor, which is the main culprit. Okay, the only culprit here. They haven't provided a finished product. There's a punch list to be worked on the punch, and it's significant, and that's part of the discussion. Now, the contractor is evaluating and looking at every single item, and he gets into the details. Some of these things, they might say, well, this is not part of the contract, and it's an additional desire, and we have to nuke it out. This is...
IT was not part of the...
No, sir. Specific details of the punch list. Specific details of the punch. This is something that happens in every project, right? You could, any discipline could come back and say, I wanted a chair here. Well, that chair is not in the drawing, so then, there's a discussion. But that's the minimal part. The big thing is the contractor needs to finish their part very soon so that IT can...
This building's 2 years behind.
Yes, sir.
So I'm going to wait another 2 years for IT to get done?
No, sir.
I mean, I don't get it. Like, you're telling me this is the way it works on every project is 2 years behind?
What I meant to say is the process of a punch list is part of every project, yes, sir.
I think
Not
we
the
knew that
duration.
already, sir. That
Okay.
the process of the punch list is part of the project. We might not be out there supervising the construction of the projects, but we're smart enough to know that that's the case. What
Noted.
we don't understand is why are we so far behind and now getting this substantially complete, and now it's gonna go into weeks before they get the technology in place? That's not a big deal to you. It is to those of us that work with students.
It is a big deal to me. You know, we take this project very seriously. I mean, this is an important program for us. Again,
But you
we
just
are
said
part of the
that-
team. We are part of the
You
team.
just said that the contractor is the only one here that's a culprit. It really is not. It's you as well. Your company was hired to go and oversee and make sure things were delivered on time or ahead of schedule and under budget. That has not happened.
Noted.
And we keep getting extensions and extensions and extensions, and this is gonna be done, but they can't go in and get the technology up to speed where we need it if this contractor is dragging his feet on getting the things in place. And this is something that should have been addressed by you all way in advance, not now. Just saying another extension is gonna be okay. It's not okay.
I'm not saying that it's okay. You know, we have documentation for liquidated damages to be exercised, and we are not defending the contractor at all. We understand.
Does the college have copies of that documentation?
They are
Has anybody verified that there is indeed some documentation?
Dr. Graham, when you say documentation, are you referring to the construction agreements and the terms and conditions?
Any documentation, because what if these projects don't get finished and they keep dragging them and dragging them? At some point, who's gonna come up with documentation of what was done to expedite it and to get it delivered? Forget about delivering it on time, because it's 2 years behind.
Right, so the type of documentation, without getting into too much detail, would be correspondences and any information that we would have that ECM had with the general contractor or any other party involved in the construction.
And just to further clarify, we have all that documentation stored in a place, in a cloud project management software, and we also have hard copies, and all of your staff has been copied on all the main, issues that are contractual.
Thank
So
you.
yes.
I don't know if it's appropriate for me to weigh in or not at this point from an instructional point of view, but I think there are some things that it's important that the board and the audience know. It feels a little disingenuous to say you all can move into the building if the network and the internet is not active. We have faculty that are going to be moving into the offices in the building that will need internet access to conduct their daily work. We've been told many times that the building will be ready in spring, in many two in spring, in summer, for summer 2, and the deans are actually planning for that building to be up and running for the fall semester. And if the internet and the network are not active, the building is not usable by us. And so we need to do everything possible. The deans have solid plans to use those facilities, not only for our classes, but also perhaps for some of our dual credit and early college high school partners as well. So I appreciate the board's questions. I think we do need a solid answer on whether we can move in and be ready in that building at the start of the fall semester.
And I have 2 kids in college right now attending EPCC, but I speak for all the students that we have, because they should all have access to the technology that they need.
Mr. Chair Haggerty,
Yes.
this is Jenny Giron, and I would also like to chime in that we also brought you some concerns forward a couple of months ago regarding some of the challenges we were encountering in terms of completing the IT portion to Valle Verde. If you will recall, Marco and I did present some of the challenges that we were encountering before we can move in and start our portion of the IT work that needs to be done.
I know we were discussing this in May, is what I recall, that they were supposed to have it up so you guys could get in and get it done before the fall. But I think you got the word from our staff, the building is useless unless you have internet. So we're gonna lose out on another semester that the building will be sitting there waiting for, I guess, sometime in the future, I don't know. You can't give me a date when they're gonna have it ready to go so as they can get in there and get our stuff up.
As I said, the project, the punch list on the IT is being evaluated by the contractor, and they'll come back to us, I'm assuming early next
They've
week.
had 2 years to evaluate.
No, the punch list has been produced this week, sir.
Huh?
The punch list has been provided to them this week.
So IT doesn't kick in until they get a punch list? Is that how the contract
No,
reads?
the IT is in place. There's just deficiencies noted on the punch list.
So
The
if it's
IT
in place with deficiencies, then they can't do anything with what's in place. So why call it to be in place if it's not working?
Okay, noted. Because it's in place, it's just not working yet. Or it's not to the satisfaction of the college, so it's being worked on.
Okay, so again, when are we gonna get a date that says that they can go in and start putting their stuff in? What is the contract, how long have they been evaluating this? Since May? We brought it up in May. Have they been evaluating this since May?
Again, I cannot defend the contractor. I mean, the contractor is not produced to the speed that everybody wants, and the quality has not been there, and so it's been addressed at this point.
Well, how can you defend yourselves as the project managers that have oversight on what's going on in the building? Because we're not there to look at it, otherwise we wouldn't have paid you, we were inspecting it.
Our contract doesn't call for every single detailed inspection of everything that is installed. Just with all respect, our contract says that we're going to be providing some revisions of the general drawings and specs. So again, it's not that we can guarantee that every single thing is installed on every single thing. That we would have had an army of people behind the contractor making sure that every single thing is done. We have to rely on the contractors originally, and then we have a QC process in place to verify and to pick up things. Some of these IT issues are so specialized that the college has obviously taken the primary role of verifying some of these things, and so that's where we're at.
It makes sense that you don't oversee every single little thing, every little tiny piece of tile, but this is a major thing. This isn't like, just a little.
No,
This is not like
I understand, ma'am.
setting up a water fountain. This is something major.
I understand, and again, the system is in place, it's just not, and if you, with some work, it could be turned on, it's just that the college wants it to be done to their specs, and so that's being worked on, that's
So let me
what they're
ask you a
correcting.
question. Were the specifications a surprise to you all? Or was you all part of that you knew from the very beginning what the college expectation was?
We've been involved through it all,
Okay, so it wasn't a surprise. You knew that's what the college was looking for.
yes, ma'am.
And that's the frustration that, we're gonna have a beautiful building that's worthless right now because we can't get the connectivity in there so that the instructors and the students can, get their classes going.
I understand, and we have the assurance from the contractor that they will correct the items that have been noted that are part of the contract.
But when are they gonna be done?
Well, it's a work in progress, as I said.
It's
You know,
been a work in progress 2 years behind.
Correct.
Okay. That answers our question on that one. What's on the next one? What's the next property you want to talk about? That's it, right? That's the only two we have?
Some action items.
What's going on with Mission?
Okay. Okay, so right now, all the exterior is finished, obviously, just a few more slides. We do have all the furniture moved in. There's a couple pieces that are still missing, but in general, all the areas have the furniture. This is all these here are in the first floor, the main entry lobby. And this is in the second floor, just to show you the common areas. They hadn't been able to put in furniture in the common areas because there's still some work going on in the corridors. Now they were able to do that. The biology and chemistry already occupied the building. And so right now, the substantial completion contractually is June 30th, 2021. The remaining items is the final completion of punch list items, completion of work related to outstanding change orders. There's been some change orders issued as late. Work remaining not yet punched, the security IT, AV, and project closeout activities. And that being like the project manuals and all the last payment and basically all the other closeout activities. So as far as change orders,
I have a question, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
And it's more for Dr. Giron or Marcos. Once they turn it over to you, how long will it take approximately to get what you need to do for the connectivity there? Approximately.
So as we had mentioned, and good evening, everyone. We had requested about 4 weeks for each one of the projects, as we had shared back in May with you all. We're obviously now even hired external help to reduce that time. So we're looking at 2 projects, and we only have 4 weeks from here to the fall. So we're being asked to do those 2 projects in less than 4 weeks. So it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be a challenge unless there's certain expectations reduced, if you will, or there's some compromises, if you will, that we'll be able to complete them for the fall semester.
And you're tracking all the money that we're spending on getting additional contracted services to help?
Yes, ma'am.
Do those compromises have anything to do with the working of the IT system? I mean, will we lessen the ability, the design ability for the IT system in a complete and timely manner, or are you compromising that?
So some of them will, sir. Some of them will compromise that. Some of them will compromise the long-term planning that we had incorporated into it.
But how can you compromise something and then assure that we'll have at least competency in all the classroom as they're needed when they're, the classroom instruction is sort of a moving target. So when you compromise, how can we be sure that, if we haven't compromised and lessened the ability of the instructor? I mean, it seems to me that this is almost an all or nothing anyway. I'm not sure that I understand how we can compromise and still deliver what it is that's needed.
No, that's a great point, and that's part of the compromise, that we will be able to move in and have it workable for the fall semester, but for future years to come, that's some of the things that we'll be compromising in.
And what would happen if we don't go that route and compromising anything and we continue the way that you had initially envisioned that the project would go? It wouldn't be ready for the fall anyway, right?
My opinion, it will not be ready for the fall. If we do as we had envisioned it and as we had put on the plans, it will not.
And there's
as
no
it's been
way-
mentioned, there's still things that are on the punch list that the contractor still needs to come back and address, whether they're going to fix them or they're going to appeal some of them. So that still needs to happen before. And there's only 4 weeks before the start of the fall semester, so time is
Dr.
very short.
Serrata, has that been considered as to whether it would be best not to even plan on the building for the fall semester and do something different and then let them do the project the way they envisioned it? Because if we're compromising stuff, then later on we're going to pay the price for that as well.
So, Dr. Graham, we continue to look at all of the scenarios. The real issue is that we had 2 projects coming up at the same time. We had scaled each of these so that they would come up at different times so that IT could get in there and work on them individually, focus on one of those. So Mission, as well as Valle Verde, the issue really is at this point, Valle Verde is needed. It's needed for the fall. However, I don't want to direct Mr. Fernandez and his team to go in there and do it at a level that is not satisfactory to them as representatives of the institution, where we compromise and we have long-term issues that have been the same throughout all of our projects. None of this has changed. It's been the same throughout all of our projects. I don't want them to go in there and do that, and yet the facility is needed. They can't get in there until the change orders are resolved, and so they're not going to be resolved by Monday, which means that that essentially is the 4-week time, actually less than, that would be 3-week time frame. So we'll have to work with Dr. Smith as well as Dr. Giron and her team to see what is possible. I'm being told by the instructional team that Valle Verde is needed. At the same time, I don't want to compromise on the level that we have done all of our other buildings.
And that's my point, that I personally would not want to see that happen, because, you know, it's better to just go in there and do what needs to be done, but I don't know if you can keep students online or what the other option might be, if any. I mean, it's not you all's fault, obviously, but at the same time, yes.
And if I may add to, it's also knowing what the expectation is. And when I said as far as whether it was going to be ready, I was speaking 100% of the building or close to 100%, right? But if not all the building is going to be used, then obviously we can come up with different alternatives or plans to complete certain areas to accommodate for some of the classrooms or some of the classes. But we would have to look at what is expected or what is that is needed, and we can come up with a different plan or approach of at least getting done or completing what it's the minimum that it's required, if you will, or that the instruction needs to hold some courses or classes in the new building.
Dr. Smith, I think you have a comment.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Graham. So we did have a leadership meeting today where we began to explore possibilities. The VV building was part of our social distancing strategy as we returned to campus at 50%. So the notion is to spread out as many of the sections or classes away from each other as we can, so we don't have people passing in the hall and congesting areas. There's also a nuance with our Valle Verde Early College High School and some considerations where we were trying to identify rooms for them. And so that was part of that strategy as well. I'll know more in the next couple of days as the deans go back to the drawing board and begin to rework the schedule. I did meet with Dr. Giron and Marco. We had a great meeting, but as you said, and I'll reinforce here, it's not the IT department's fault that we're in this position. And happy to work with them to see what's possible in the fall semester. For example, one of the new facilities in the VV building is a dance room and some music rooms, and those classes may not need internet access. So can we schedule classes in there? And is it optimal to have classes going on as Marco and his team are in there trying to do the work that they're needing to do? So scheduling becomes a little bit more complicated as well. And so the deans are re-looking at the fall schedule as we speak. So hopefully in the next day or two, I'll have some additional information about what's possible for that building.
Thank you, sir.
Have you talked about just staying virtual for the semester so we can get these buildings?
Well, that certainly is an option. I think we're seeing a group of students that has kind of sat out the past couple of semesters because they want to come back face to face. And so we want to do everything possible to accommodate them as well. But yeah, converting some sections to online is a possibility that may relieve some of the pressure.
I mean, I just don't want to do this. I want to do it correct and do it right. That's all I'm saying. How many students want to come back? Can we put them all at Rio Grande? Can we put them all at Grand Mountain?
Right now, Judge, we're offering approximately 50% of our sections face-to-face and approximately 50% of our sections online. To date, enrollment is 50.2% of our sections, of our enrollment is online, 49.8% is face-to-face.
I don't know if it's possible that you put all the people that want face-to-face other than this building in Rio Grande.
Yeah, I think one of the challenges, Judge, is that the students are signing up for specific campuses that may be close to their home, and the schedule's been in place for some time. Adjusting that and relocating the face-to-face classes may be a challenge. So where possible, we would like to keep those at the same campus, and that's what the deans are looking at now. If we eliminate the push to social distance and spread out the classrooms, what's possible as far as putting classes back into the A and the B building there at BV.
But you'll take a look at it and see what you can come up with.
We are.
You're
One of the
creative, so
challenges
you'll come up.
is the new facility holds the majority of our IT sections. So we've been moving them out of some of the older facilities into the new building, so that third floor is almost entirely IT. And so I was talking to Dean Pagel earlier today. What are the possibilities of her continuing to use the current facilities, and had they already started to move some of those bits of equipment to the new building or not? And so she's checking into that as we speak.
And it's going to be a big challenge for everybody, staff and students, but when it's all said and done, it's going to be a beautiful facility with state-of-the-art technology, and that's what we're striving for, but it is going to be a challenge for a while, especially with all these delays.
Well, and if I might just comment as well that our faculty are second to none and have demonstrated incredible flexibility over the last 18 months or so. So I'm confident that they will continue to do so and serve our students adequately.
If I may add one piece, this is quite dynamic, as you can tell, because we're part of some of the conversations, and we're being also in close contact with IT, El Paso Electric, to figure out how to move forward. There are certain things that we're evaluating together. They're not compromises long-term, but they're compromises short-term. A cable is run a certain way that needs to be rerun a different way, but it could operate, for instance, as it's installed right now. It could work out, but getting the compromise of the contractor and not paying him until he reroutes it once everything is working. You see, there's all these things that are still in play, and we're pushing hard. And it's at this point, it's almost 100% of our time is on IT related matters, and getting into very specific items with Marco and his team, and we're collaboratively trying to make it work again. I just want to say that for the record, it's not like we're giving up or we're saying that it won't be get done. It's just we're pushing hard and we're trying to get it done.
Well, and especially, with the numbers that have been changing recently, we've got to be prepared with that technology, because we don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. I mean, we're seeing it in the school district that even though we've got the kiddos back, coming back, we have to be prepared for a change of direction if that's needed. And if we don't have the technology to support the instructors and the kids and the students, we're going to be in a world of hurt, worse than we are now without the building. I'm sorry, I think you were still talking about something.
Yes. So hopefully I did make this a little bigger. Hopefully y'all can see a little better this time. So as far as Valle Verde change orders, only approved, we only have one. And at Rio Grande, we have none. Just a little heads up on some of these change orders. Some of these are running a little bit behind because everybody's literally focusing on getting these buildings turned over. So don't be too surprised if there'll be, towards the end, there'll be some more change orders coming in. So as far as the safety update, we're at 922,000 hours with no incidents.
That's very good.
It is, it's really good. So as far as the project planner, obviously I moved Rio Grande to the Meeting Master 2021. And again, just for the sake of everybody understanding, at least Valle Verde, Mission del Paso, the fall 2021, it is only bricks and mortar, no network. The Rio Grande, we sincerely hope by the Meeting Master is supposed to be December 13th. So we sincerely hope that we have everything, including IT, by then. So overall fund update, not any changes at this time. Next meeting, it'll probably be quite a few if you all approve the mannequins for Rio Grande and the ECM change. They'll make an impact on the budget, but those are not updated here until you approve it. So there is no changes at this time, but there will be some at the next board meeting. And that's the same as last month. So let's start with action items. I think, Pam, do you want to read them or you want me to read them?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and read them. Item 6.1, discussion and action to approve a contract award to Southwest First Aid and Safety Supply Incorporated, doing business as Z Medical Service, number 114, in an amount not to exceed $279,688, which includes a 10% contingency for the purchase and installation of 6 full-body patient communicator simulator mannequins, ALEX, for the Rio Grande Classroom Lab Garage Building Construction Project. The contingency will be added to the contract only if needed and at the sole discretion of the College District. This purchase shall be conducted through the Education Service Center Region 19 contract number 20-7374 in compliance with the Texas Educational Code Section 44.031 and Texas Government Code Chapter 791.
Move to approve.
Second. Any discussion? Call a question.
Mrs. Robles.
Aye.
Mr. Uxer.
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez.
Aye.
Dr. Graham.
Aye.
Ms. Naheda.
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty.
Aye.
Item 6.2, discussion and action to approve the purchase of computer desktop equipment from Dell Marketing LP US in the amount not to exceed $192,326, which includes a 10% contingency for the Rio Grande Classroom Lab Garage Building Construction Project. This procurement includes computers and laptops. This purchase will be conducted using the State of Texas Department of Information Resources contract number DIR TSO 3763 in compliance with Texas Education Code Section 44.031 and Texas Government Code Chapter 2054.
The figure is wrong, Pam. That 192,326, if you include the 10% contingency, it has to read $211,559.
So the motion would be to approve the purchase of the, as stated in the agenda item, just changing the amount to $211,559. I move to make that motion.
You have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Call the question, Pam.
Mrs. Robles.
Aye.
Mr. Uxer.
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez.
Aye.
Dr. Graham.
Aye.
Ms. Naheda.
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty.
Aye.
Item 6.3, discussion and action to amend the award amount in the consultant change order CCR to ECM International, Inc., approved by the Board of Trustees at the April 28, 2021 Facilities and Finance Committee meeting from $237,868 to $229,230 for additional project management services related to additional delays and time extensions for the construction of the 2016 master plan projects.
Do you have a motion?
Motion to approve?
Do you have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Call the question, ma'am.
Mrs. Robles?
Aye.
Mr. Uxer?
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez?
Aye.
Dr. Graham?
No.
Ms. Naheda?
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty?
Aye. We don't need to go into executive session. I don't think we need to go into executive session. So, do I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we are adjourned.